Welcome to my very first new type of show, podcast, whatever you want to do that I will be doing weekly for Saturdays. I don't have a necessarily name for it. Uh, so it's just going to be, my own kind of thing. If you have names, drop suggestions below. Um, but yeah, if you know me from this channel, then that's cool. But if you also know me from my other channel, Hoops All In, we did a weekly ish podcast during the season. Me and my guy Worrells, it's his show, but I'm on it pretty much all the time when we record. We put out our last thing yesterday, from when you're seeing this, or maybe it was 2 days ago. And we said that we're gonna take a break just until the start of at least training camp, but maybe even to the NBA season. Um, so I'm gonna kind of pick things up from here because I can kind of have more freedom since it's just me. Not that anything we did over there, it's not like we didn't agree on things, but it just I can kind of do whatever I want. I can kind of do it when I record it. So I'm gonna be doing this over here, at least until we get back running over there. Nothing's going to change. You're still going to get my usual stuff that I do, but every Saturday you're going to get this instead of whatever it typically would be instead of the 2K series or a talk video. And you guys see the title. We will be ranking our top 10 point guards. Now, disclaimer, it's not the only thing we're going to be doing, but for this episode, there's not too much other news. There's a couple things, but that'll be the majority of this. And I am still under the weather. Stupid sickness, kind of getting in the way of this. But I still wanted to do this. I'm almost better, but we should be good. So yeah, this is the new thing we'll be doing again, pretty much once a week. I still will do, like, if we have a little random news, then I might do a 8 to 10 minute video on this channel about it, and might not go too in depth until we get to here. But yeah, we have our top 10 point guards in our first episode, and obviously next week will be shooting guard. The week after will be small forward. You understand it. Um, I want to do things like not necessarily a ranking every episode, but I don't want to just sit here and talk to you guys. I want to do something that is maybe a little more interactive where you guys can have an opinion on it. You guys can have something that you say. And the first, obviously, 5 shows will be us doing our position rankings. Again, I think this is only going to be a once a week thing. It very well might turn into like 2, where like Saturdays and Wednesdays you get this. But I haven't decided yet. So, but if I do a second day, it will be on Wednesdays. All right, our first piece of news, which came out, it's probably been at least a week, 2, 3 weeks since this has come out, but I haven't really talked about it. Um, Cam Thomas takes the 1 year qualifying offer from the Brooklyn Nets. As you know, this offseason in particular, these restricted free agents have kind of been a headache in a way of signing and kind of getting them, because right, all these guys want and expect more money than maybe they are worth. And teams just aren't ready to put themselves that far in debt or into the salary books for a guy that, or for, in this case, some guys, because there's multiple that we're going to be talking about that aren't necessarily proven or are only positives in one way and not really anything else, as in Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas off the bench, or even when he does start, scoring is great. He takes the 1 year qualifying offer, which I believe is $6 million. Also a no trade clause, so he can't get traded unless he approves of it. This past year, he only played 25 games, but he averaged 24, 3 rebounds, 4 assists on about 35% from three, 44% from the field. Um, he, I mean, he's a good scorer. That's really all that you can say about a guy like Cam Thomas. And I understand why it was such a difficult decision for this to take so long. Because Cam Thomas, I don't know if he's one of the guys that was saying, I want 30, 40 million. He's just not there yet, especially when he is, again, we talked about pretty much a one-way player. You don't expect him to defend. You don't expect him to play make for really anybody but himself. He's not really a defender. So there's things like that. So yeah, Cam Thomas takes the 1-year qualifying offer. Next, we've got Josh Giddey, who lands a 4-year, $100 million contract. From the things that I remember seeing, Giddey was like, I want to start making 30 million out of the gate instead of, basically the third or fourth year of his deal, just finally getting to 30 million as, it rises. If you back end the contract or anything like that. But I mean, 4-year, 100 million, I think is exactly where Josh Giddey should be. I mean, the breakdown, shout out to Spotrack spot. I'm not sure how you say it, but I guess it says estimate on here, but if you look at cap hit, it'll be 22 million this season, 24 million next year, 26-ish the year after, and then about 27 and a half. And then in the 2020-30 or 2029 offseason, he would be a unrestricted free agent. Through these 4 years, that's taking about anywhere from 14 to 15% of the cap. So, it's not bad. I think that is honestly perfect. I actually kind of think that they got him for relatively cheap for what it could have been. So, I think that's really good. Giddey really kind of proved himself, not really proved himself because there's still flaws, but it's been his best season. He plays 70 games. He averaged 14 and a half points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. He got 1.2 steals per game. 3 turnovers, but he shot 37.8% from 3. Now that's on 4 attempts, and again, only making 1.5, but that's better than his last year, which was 33. The year before, that was 32, and his rookie year, that was 26. So you're seeing improvements. Still not, again, a plus defender, but it seems like when you have these guys that are these big combo guards that can pass, that can rebound, a lot of them don't end up being these elite defenders, even though they have the size and the tools, if you will say, to become one. But I think that's a pretty good contract. Again, the Bulls are in a not great spot because of their front office, but I think that this isn't a bad contract to give a guy like Giddey at all. Our 2 other restricted free agents that have kind of been, because it's been Giddey, Cam Thomas, and then these guys, Quentin Grimes and Kuminga, that have been the big 4 of restricted free agents. Still no word on them yet. And I don't really know for Grimes' sake, because you got to think they have McCain, who's going to be coming back. They just drafted VJ Edgecombe. They've got Tyrese Maxey. So there's kind of a logjam over there. And McCain and VJ, McCain's rookie season was good enough to where he's going to get enough. He's going to have minutes. He's going to be playing no matter what, because they're invested in him based off the, 20 games he played in his rookie year. And then VJ is the 3rd overall pick, who seems like he might be a perfect fit alongside a guy like Tyrese Maxey, who is, a smaller, not necessarily defensive-oriented point guard. Kuminga, I have talked way too much on this channel or in other channels and everything about Jonathan Kuminga. Pretty much the Kuminga situation is holding up the Warriors from doing other things, like they want to sign Al Horford. I think they originally wanted Malcolm Brogdon, who did just sign to the Knicks yesterday, I believe, from when I'm recording this. But Kuminga, I think, is a very good player. He absolutely got done dirty by Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors. I understand, again, maybe not the perfect player because there are specific players that can fit next to Curry and whatever. But my thing with the Warriors was that there wasn't too much going on before the Jimmy Butler stuff. And this has been happening, but way before the Jimmy Butler stuff. Him, Moses Moody, like Moody finally, I think, got into, not I think, he did start playing more. And I think he's really starting to show what his value could be. But even him, like, they just don't really get the opportunity. And if you're not going to give the opportunity or pay him like a star, you can't expect a star level trade return for him, because that's what the Warriors are doing. They don't want to pay him like a star because they don't believe that he can be a star, or the player that they need. But they want to, if they're trading him, they want a star level return, and that's I mean, you got to pick. Are you going to pay him like a star, like you think he could get for value? Or are you going to be like, okay, since we don't think he's a star, let's lower our expectations and, whatever. Because after trading for Jimmy Butler last year, you still have Steph Curry, you still have Draymond. Those guys are all, I would comfortably say, I know Curry's, I think, 37. I would say, I think Jimmy and Draymond are both over 34. Like, this isn't going to last for much longer. We thought their 2022 championship was like their last hurrah when they had Clay, Draymond, Curry. They had Wiggins at the time. It seems like they're still going for the last hurrah. And again, by all means, Curry is one of the greatest players, a top 2 point guard of all time. So maximize his time while he's there. But if you're going to do it, you have to go full in to maximizing that. You can't play this middle game of being like, okay, I want to have Kuminga be good. I want to have Moody be good. I want to have AirPods be good. But I still want our guys to dominate, because that just doesn't work that much, right? Like, an example is the Lakers. When LeBron got there, that first year where they had Lonzo, they had Kuzma, they had Ingram, they weren't, I think they didn't make the playoffs, which I think it was the first time that happened to LeBron in, like, since his first stint in Cleveland. They traded Ingram. They traded Lonzo. They traded other people to get Anthony Davis. They went full in on the LeBron James timeline. They got a championship the year they did it. Now, I'm not saying there's Anthony Davis star level return like how Anthony Davis was back then out there. And I mean, you made a step in the right direction by getting Jimmy Butler, but you got to pick. Are you going to say, okay, we're done with the Curry times? And that doesn't mean trade Curry, but maybe let's not expect so much. Let's, maybe filter out some of the old guys like a Gary Payton. They got rid of Kevon Looney, which is the only thing they've done this offseason so far. And we start to filter in some new talent, or again, do we go all in on the old heads of Curry, Jimmy, Draymond? They can't really make up their mind, which I think is really was holding them back. But again, I talked about that for way too long than I wanted to, because again, I've talked about Kuminga so many times in the Golden State Warriors. But yeah, that is my take on our restricted free agents. All right, let's get into our top 10 point guards I'm going to explain how this works, how I did this. So basically, this is the top 10 point guards in the league this moment. So basically, based off of what I've seen through this moment, this is not all time. This is not whatever. This is pretty much a combination of how you played last season. It's mostly of how you were last season. I did not do so. Like, there are certain players like Dame and Kyrie, right, who are going to either miss parts of the year this coming season, or maybe even all of this year. They are on this list because I know how they have played up to this point. If a player like this past season, say, didn't play, he is not on the list. That makes sense. Games played does take a little bit of a factor into this. I do have people on here that did not meet the 65 game minimum. And it's just pretty much going up until this point. I don't think the point guards are really missing anybody, though. Like, I think between this, and I will be talking about my honorable mentions, I don't really think anyone's missing. I think these are the people that had it as. So without further ado, let's get into our honorable mentions first. So when I was doing this, basically, I filtered this down to 16 names. Obviously, I need to get it down to 10. So there are 6 players that did not make the list. Some were hard cuts. Some were like, okay, this player was either hurt a lot or didn't have the same season as they've usually been. So I am going to, these are my honorable mentions. And before I get there, I'm sorry, I'm spiraling a little bit, but at the end of this, we will be reacting to my top 10 point guards from pretty much the All-Star break from this past season. February 22nd is when this came out on the Hoops All In show. So we will be going to look at that to see what I had then. Again, obviously, it's not me saying I was wrong or whatever, but it's just seeing how things were in February, which was 7 months ago, So, honorable mentions. Players that didn't make it. In no specific order. I'm just listing off the guys that didn't make it for me. LaMelo, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, Jamal Murray, and Darius Garland. Reasons for it. Maxey, it's kind of hard to show his value. The team was not great. He did not have, it was probably if not his best, it was his second best season. But when you take into fact winning, what your teams did, and again, not his fault, Maxey didn't make it. LaMelo hurt too much. I don't think the way that LaMelo Ball has proven himself is the perfect way to go about it as a point guard. Ja Morant didn't have the same season he usually does. Fox, Garland, Murray were some pretty hard cuts for me, I will say. But yeah, let's get into number 10. So number 10, I also want to still have up while I'm doing this too, even though I have my notes written down, is Trae Young. So Trae Young did not have an amazing year for his standards, like at all. They were, man, I should have put this up beforehand. They were 40-42 this past season. They were 8th in the East. They did not make the or did they make the playoffs? Who did the Hawks play in the first round? Or not the Hawks, the Cavs. Anyways, and Trae Young played 76 games, so very good, honestly. But he was 24.2 points per game, 11.5 assists per game, which was a career high, and he led the league in. 34% from 3, which is almost a career low. It is actually it's his third worst out of his 7 NBA seasons. But it's very close to other seasons that had 33 and 32. He shot 41% from the field, which was not by far, which was his worst field goal percentage of his entire career. Even as a rookie, he shot better. He averaged 4.7 turnovers per game, which some of these point guards kind of get a pass because they do literally all the ball handling. They are the engines of these teams. So it's almost like a pass in a way because, again, Trae Young's doing pretty much all of the facilitating and offensive things over there. But yeah, so we've got now the and he was 4th in clutch player of the year and an all-star this year. Yeah. Okay. So next, number 9, we have a guy who is one of the guys I was talking about earlier, Kyrie Irving. He only played 50 games for sure. But he averaged 24.7 points per game, 4.5 assists, about 5 rebounds, 91.6% from the free throw line, which is a career high for him, and still 40% from 3. He shot 47% from the field as a whole. Kyrie Irving's scoring to efficiency numbers have been great for a long time. And yes, technically, whatever, I guess he played shooting guard but Kyrie Irving is a point guard. And Luka's not there anymore. He's a point guard. He was 10th in clutch player of the year and an all-star. This is his first all-star appearance since 2023, which is the year that he was traded from Brooklyn to Dallas. All right. I apologize for all the pausing. Get I'm sick. Next episode, I will not be pausing as much. It'll be a little more free flowing, since we've done this already. But yeah. And also the Mavericks last year, as you know, were the 10th seed. They were playing 39-43. Obviously, a crazy season for them, with all the Luka and AD stuff. But number 8 is going to be Damian Lillard. 58 games. He averaged 24.9 points per game, 7.1 assists, 4.7 rebounds, 37.6% from three. He had a better year compared to the first year in Milwaukee. Some of these spots, like putting Dame above Kyrie, like it's hard. Like those two is hard. The next, so number 7, number 6, and number 5 all were relatively hard to determine who should be number 5, who should be number 6, whatever. Because, I mean, let's be for real, point guard is the most loaded position in the NBA as of right now. I just named Darius Garland, who was an all-star last year, who didn't make the cut. Ja, who's been an all-star. Fox, who's been an all-star. Maxey, who's been an all-star, didn't make the list. So, I mean, Damian Lillard, again, hurt pretty much for probably most, if not all, of this coming season. Back in Portland after, a failed experiment in Milwaukee. I've said this before, but with Dame going back to Portland, he is going to be one of those players that I say he was a for-lifer, even though he wasn't. Like Dwayne Wade should have been a for-lifer. Like the fact that he was in Cleveland, the fact that he was in Chicago for the short amount of time that he was, which I think it was maybe a year and a half time. Tony Parker, who went to Charlotte in the last year of his career, things like that. Dame, it was 2 years, but let's be for real. Damian Lillard is a Portland Trailblazer. So yeah, that is our number. That was our number 8. Sorry. So number 7 is going to be another, again, a lot of old heads in this point guard position, but they're still kicking it. They're still doing great things. Another old head, we got James Harden, who played 79 games last year, which, I mean, is the most games he's played since 2017. Like, he was on his stuff. He averaged 22.8 points per game, which is the most since the Brooklyn and Houston year in 2021 when he got traded. He was 8.7 assists per game, about 6 rebounds, 35% from 3, 41% from the field, which is almost a career low. It's actually his second worst, behind his, is that the rookie year? Wow. Yeah, second worst behind his rookie season, and he was only 0.7% off. So, also 4.3 turnovers, not great. It's really funny looking at things like this, and you see, like, in 2017, where the year right before his MVP, he averaged 5.7 turnovers per game. But again, if James Harden's the only one doing the ball handling, it doesn't really matter. And he led the league in assists per game. So yeah, James Harden is still elite. I mean, the things that he is one of the best. What is the one of the best floor raisers, right? Because if you raise, is it floor raiser or ceiling raiser? Because if you raise your ceiling, that means that you have the the possibility of going far, but raising your floor means that, like, you can't get much worse with James Harden. You're always going to get at least a little better or a lot better in certain cases. And who knows with this Clippers stuff that has come out, which we're not really going to talk about. I talked about in our last Hoops All In thing yesterday. Um, might be a sticky situation, but Harden is still one of those guys, one of the best. I always consider him as a shooting guard. And NBA, like if people say, the best shooting guards in NBA, right? Like Mike, Kobe, Wade, like Harden. Harden's always been my fourth. But when was the last time Harden played shooting guard? I mean, he went back and forth in Houston between shooting guard and point guard. Now, the first like 7 years of his career, shooting guard, but like James Harden, more of a point guard. I don't know. One of the best players without a ring. Probably won't ever get one, but he was 10th in MVP. He was an All-Star. He was All NBA third team, and he hadn't been an All-Star since 2022. So it was great seeing him back in there, even All NBA, which I mean, basically, you said you were a top 15 player last year. Next, number 6 for best point guards in the league. Again, I'm taking into account of regular season. This is mainly regular season, right? If we were talking postseason, this guy would not be number 6. Might be giving it away, but Tyrese Halliburton. I believe, if I am remembering correctly, he did not have a great first half of the season. 18.6 points per game, 9.2 assists per game. He shot about 39% from 3, and made about 3 per game on just under 8 attempts. Again, if we're talking playoffs, he's probably number 2 based off this season, but we're not talking playoffs, of course. He was only All NBA third team, wasn't even an All-Star this year, because again, I'm pretty sure that his first half of the year was not great. Again, another guy that probably will be out all of this year. A lot of point guards out. It sucks. But Halliburton, he really gets in a mode where like sometimes he just doesn't shoot the ball. Like I think he's one of those players where if he misses his first shot of the game, he shoots however many less shots throughout the game. And like it makes sense thinking about it, but like as a professional basketball player, one of the best facilitators and offensive engines in the game currently, you can't really let that derail you based off missing your first shot. Now, if you miss 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row, I understand that, but there are just games where he'll end with 8 shots. There'll be games where he ends with 23 shots. Like he could go for like 12 points and 12 assists. There are other days where he could go for 38 and 9 assists. Like it just, there's 2 different sides to the Halliburton thing, and it's not the most consistent thing in the world. Again, in the playoffs, it got better. But still, throughout the season, I'm giving Halliburton number 6. And again, Harden, who was at 7, Halliburton at 6, and our next guy who's at 5. Very hard debating on who they were between. I might get some hate for number 5. All right. Yeah, sorry. I might get some hate. People might not like my number 5, but it's who I'm going with based off this past season. I just don't think he had a great, he was still good. He was still an All-Star, All NBA, but it was probably his worst season in a while. And that's Stephen Curry. I know he played 70 games. 24.5 points per game, 6 assists, shot 93.3% from the free throw line, which pretty much ties a career high. And he led the league in it. He led the league in 3-point makes and 3 points attempted with 4.4 makes, 11.2 attempted, and he still shot 39.7% from 3. There's not many years that Curry, there's been 1, 2, 3 years that Stephen Curry has ever shot below 40% from 3. One was in 2020 when he broke his hand, the bubble year. Another was actually in 2022 when they won the ring. And then this season, which again, just below 40. But the Warriors were not great to start until they got Butler, which again, Sure, I mean they were a play-in team. But again, I wasn't a fan. I don't think Curry had a great season. I was honestly surprised that he was all NBA second team, that the league deemed him as pretty much a top 10 player in basketball. Because I thought at most all NBA third, and that I was going debating between if he should even make that. And again, not all time. Please remember that. I know who Stephen Curry is. And people are going to think, oh, you're just a Warriors hater because of how much I talk about the Warrior, whatever. No, I'm trying to be straight up and trying to be fair. I don't think Curry was a top 3 point guard this season. And I don't think Curry will ever be a top 3 point guard in the league anymore. I just think it's past him. Again, he's 37. It's not a bad thing. He's still top 5 based off last year. But again, he's 37. He will be 38 in March. Stephen Curry is one of the greatest of all time. He is still good. He is my number 5. I don't know if I said, but he was 9th in MVP, 5th in clutch player of the year. He was an all-star and all NBA second, like I just addressed. Number 4, man. Some people really might not like that I put this guy over Steph Curry. Some people might be expecting it if you've been keeping up. Cade Cunningham, man. Number 4, bro. I mean, you talk about not necessarily jumping out of nowhere because Cade was a good player before. It's just the teams he was on and health. But, man, I mean, he was great. He averaged he played 70 games, which is a career high for him. 26.1 points per game, a career high. 9.1 assists, career high. 6.1 rebounds, ties a career high. 46.9% from the field, career high. 35.6% from 3, a career high. 51.5% from 2-pointers alone, a career high. 4.4 turnovers, a career high, but in a bad way. It's the most turnovers he's averaged. But again, Cade was really the only ball handler when you talk about how Ivy went out at some point in the middle of the season or at the beginning of the season. I don't even really remember when that was. They didn't really have a backup point guard till Dennis Schroeder got there, which wasn't until at least the trade deadline, obviously, because he was on Golden State, he was on Brooklyn, and then he made his way to Detroit. Sar Thompson had been in and out. There just weren't a lot of ball handlers over there. And Cade Cunningham really raised the floor. Like, everyone was like, okay, maybe the Pistons, based off last year where they lost 30 games in a row, the most in NBA history, maybe they can start to push, like do something that the Rockets did last year where they were the 11th seed, but they were really fighting with the Warriors to make to get for the play-in, but they just couldn't get there. They were a few games away. Or maybe they could be in the play-in, but then the year after, which would be this season, they would be definitely in the play-in. No, Cade brought that team to the 6th seed. They avoided the play-in completely. And they had a super competitive series versus the New York Knicks. And honestly, they played that series very well, but that series goes just a little bit different. Knicks might not have made it out that round. Now, granted, in Game 6, I believe Brunson hit Asar Thompson with the cold-blooded crossover and pretty much sent them packing. But Cade Cunningham is jumping up to not the 4th best point guard in the league for me. And I believe will, at one point, not this season, at one point, Cade Cunningham will win an MVP in this league. I just believe. He is one of the American-born players that I think could really win an MVP in the next few years because obviously Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, Wemby, those guys might dominate the MVP award for the next 5-6 years. So, and some people you're going too fast. Cade shouldn't already be a top 5 point guard, be above guys like Stephen Curry, Tyrese, but and I'm not normally a guy that would throw them into the top 5 in their position or top 5 in the league or whatever the case may be. But I don't think Cade's gonna be better, right? He's gonna hopefully work on those turnovers. Might average a double-double. He is one of those offensive engines of the league. 9 assists per game. Not many people were doing that last season. That's more than what James Harden was averaging. That's more than what Curry was averaging. That's about the same of what Halliburton was averaging. Dame, Kyrie, like Cade Cunningham is one of those guys. So yeah, next, number 3, we have approached our top 3. Number 3, that guy we were just talking about him, Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson plays 65 games, 26 points per game, 7.3 assists per game, which is a career high, and 38.3% from the 3-point line. Really, kind of when you talk about came from nowhere, not this season, obviously, it's been multiple years that Cade Cunningham's been an all-star caliber player, but he was great. I don't know if I said Cade's accolades last year. He was 7th in MVP. He was an all-star and all-NBA third team. But back to Brunson. He was 10th in MVP, which I think like they were tied, obviously, in 10th. I think that might be the lowest that you can go. Brunson was 10th in MVP. He was clutch player of the year. He was an all-star, and he was all NBA second team for the second year in a row. Phenomenal point guard. Like, really brought things back to New York to make Knicks fans, he brought them to the conference finals the first time since I don't even know when. And yeah, Brunson, I think he's been a top 5 point guard for probably about 2 or 3 years now. Maybe 2 years now. And there's no signs of him falling out of top 5 anytime soon. I think the next few years, I think he will be in here because he's not a young, he's not Cade Cunningham young, but he's 29. It's not like he's 33, 34, like some of those other guys we were talking about. Excuse me. Now we get to number 2. Who do I have 1? Who do I have 2? If you don't know the last 2 people that are here between Luka and Shea, you should know. You should be keeping up. Who do I have 1? Who do I have 2? If we're going off last season, majority of, and as of right now, who is the better player? You should have your answer. Luka Doncic is number 2. I will say, Luka Doncic, I don't think this is permanent. I don't think it's permanent, but Luka went through obviously the trade last year, only played 50 games. He was kind of banged up. But he played 20. He had averaged 28.2 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game, 7.7 assists per game, 1.8 steals per game, and shot 36.8% from 3. Shot 36.8% from 3, which is, really good for a guy that took almost 10 per game. Obviously, no awards. He was injured for a while. No crazy playoff success. Even though the Lakers were the 3rd seed, right? Yeah, they were the 3rd seed. Obviously lost to the Timberwolves, but Luka just had some unfortunate things happen. Again, I don't think that this is going to stay like this for long. And then number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, MVP, Finals MVP, All-NBA first team, 10th in Defensive Player of the Year, 8th in Clutch Player of the Year, and an All-Star. He played 76 games, 32.7 points per game, career high, led the league. 5 rebounds, 6.4 assists, career high, 1.7 steals, 1 block, which is a career high, 7.9 free throws made per game, which led the league. He didn't take the most free throws per game, though. He shot 89.8% on those free throws, 57% from the two-point range, and 37.5% from 3 as a guy who he took just under 6, and he made just over 2 per game. Pretty good for a guy, again, that really does all his damage or a lot of his damage in the mid-range area. And yeah, that is our top 10 point guards. Now, like I said, we are going to react to how this list looked 7 months ago around the All-Star break. All right. We are here. We are going to react to top 10 point guards. Obviously, I made this. I remember some of the things, but I just kind of went back to find the timestamps of when I was saying what mine are. Worlds is giving out his too for this time, but again, this was in February. Um, Again, subscribe to Hoops All In. We will have some stuff coming out when the season starts up again. But we're just going to be looking at mine to see, how things compare. Because again, I don't think we did this as a prediction when we did it, but we were just saying again at the time. Again, this was right around All Star. Who are the top guys? I think All Stars had either the All Star game had just been played or they had just been announced because we did talk about it in here. So let's get to our, I gave an honorable mention. His stats are crazy. I hope the volume's good. I hope the volume is good for you guys. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. But yeah, so shooting splits aren't the best. I have Trae Young as my 11th.
Oh, you got Trae Young as a wow.
Trae Young
Oh,
didn't
I
make
gotta
my
hear
top
this
10,
information.
so basically, again, I'm not gonna play. I just want you guys to kind of hear some things I will play for. But 11th, obviously, this year we had him 10th. This year, right now we have him 10th, so not too much changed. Um, Again, I don't remember where Worlds had him. Again, go watch this episode if you want. We did every position back then. I'm going to be doing it here. So yeah, we had Trae Young as our honorable mention there. And then we get to number 10. My number 10 that I was fighting between was I put James Harden at 10.
Okay. Okay.
James Harden's averaging. So James Harden again, I had him at 10 in my list right now. I had him at was it 7? I think I put him 7th. Obviously, I have got the list right here, but yeah, had him 7th. Obviously before playoffs, before things like that. He had a good year. I mean, a really good year. One probably is again best year since Houston, but he's still that guy. All right, number 9 is next. George isn't there. Westbrook isn't there. Kawhi has barely been there. So yeah. My number 9 is Kyrie. I was debating between him and my 8th spot, but I ultimately had Kyrie. So I said I was debating between him and my 8th spot. Again, don't really remember who my 8th spot is. We're about to get there. But Kyrie didn't really change. I will say, I meant to say this at the beginning of this episode. I did say there is no Ja Morant, there is no Luka Doncic in this list because they were not going to make the game requirement. So in this list that you are watching right now with me, I will not be saying Ja Morant or Luka Doncic. They are not in it. So there is a little bit of a difference, obviously, because I have Luka right here. There is no Luka in this list. 8th is what's next. We'll see who I was debating between him and Kyrie. I don't have. So he's not on my list. My number 8 is right. Yeah, number 8 is De'Aaron Fox. He was who I was fighting between. So again, I get into how I was changing it. This is the trade deadlines before the All-Star break, right? So again, when he got to San Antonio, it wasn't great. He got hurt. Wemby was hurt at the time, as you can see in the title. This is about when we found out Wemby was out for the season with blood clots and stuff. Didn't have a great second half of the season, was hurt. So he did not, again, make the list right here. But I think he was my 11th. As of like the list that I just told you guys earlier in the episode, I think he would have been my 11th. Again, I didn't rank the honorable mentions, but I think he would have been my number 11. So next we have got 7th best point guards. 7th. My 7th, I have Darius Garland here. Pretty underrated. Darius Garland is, I would say, relatively underrated. Not a great defender, whatever. Again, if you want to see my real reasonings in time, do it. Again, I'm just kind of going off kind of what I remember about this time of the season and what maybe I did say. 7th, again, did not make it. He probably would have been either 12th or 13th if I did extend the list. Then we go to
I
6.
think that was my 7th. Yeah,
Okay,
that
all
was
right.
number 7 for me.
All right, so 6th. He's dropped off a little, not had the greatest season. His team hasn't been and this might be a hot take over my top 5, but I have Curry at 6 this year.
Mm.
So yeah, Curry at 6. I believe Worlds had him at 4, so not too much of a difference. I have him at 5 right now. Again, this was kind of before they took off. Again, not too much has changed because I still have him in 5th. But just didn't have again the typical, like, again, if we're talking about last year, the year before, the year before that, the year before that, Curry's a top 3 point guard. But when you talk about this past season, I just think that's how I had to go for Curry. Then we get to number 5, Cade here now, but yep, he's on my but for 5, I have Cade here. I was doing
Okay.
some last minute switch. So again, according to World's reaction, he, surprised by it because I had him relatively high. Again, I'm not sure where he had it or where he had Cade. I have him 4, so I even have him 1 spot higher than I did then. Cade had a phenomenal season, man. I mean, it was really, again, for a lot of people, it was out of nowhere. But if you know who Cade Cunningham is, you know that this was going to happen at some point, hopefully. But I think it happened in a louder way, if you will say, like a more shocking way than what people were expecting. The top 3, but I can't figure out who that third guy is yet. But anyways, my 4th is Tyrese Maxey. He 27.5 points a game, 6. So a big change, right? A big change from what happened. Again, the Sixers were not great at all, like during the whole year last year. But Tyrese Maxey was still doing his thing. Again, change of opinion. I am completely fine with saying when I am wrong, if I got something wrong. So yeah, Tyrese Maxey, I had him 4th this year. I didn't have him at all. Just how it goes. Again, I keep saying this year, but you guys know what I meant. So that was number 4.
Into a solid position for when the playoffs come around. But I got Kyrie Irving number 3.
Okay, yeah. I mean, and that was, I guess, that was his shock for me. He had Kyrie as the 3rd best point guard in the league. Again, no Luka, things like that. But I had Kyrie at 9 during this video. So, all right. My 3rd, I have Damian Lillard here.
Okay.
He's had a better season than what he right. So I said similar things that I did right now. He had a better year last year than he did the first year in Milwaukee. Again, I had him at 8th currently. That's what happens. Man, I really need a haircut in that video. I need a haircut right now. But all right, 2nd. Again, I assume you guys can figure out what who's where now, but
Point guard on my list.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, Brunson number 2. Right, Brunson. I mean, I think by the time for him to be 2nd, and now who is the best point guard in the league?
I think we both got the same name. Obviously, is that guy from Oklahoma, Shai Gilgeous, favorite to win MVP.
Right. So again, nothing too insane. I guess Tyrese Maxey and Dame for me, because Dame I had 5 spots higher, and Maxey I had not even in the list at all. But yeah, that is all I have for today. So that will wrap up our first, I don't know what you want to call it, news show Saturday, podcast Saturday. Well, I don't know what you want to call it. But that will do it. We talked about some restricted free agent stuff. We went over our top 10 point guards. And yeah, I mean, I think it was a good episode. Let me know what you guys think. Remember to like and subscribe if you like this stuff. We're going to be doing this a little bit more often now. Again, if you want to check out that for when we do come back, it is Hoops All In right there. You guys saw. We will be coming back with things. We had some like trivia in games as some of our more recent episodes in the past month because there weren't much to do. Those were really entertaining and creative, I thought. And yeah, I have, subscribed to the YouTube, which you're watching this on right now. Subscribe to or go follow my TikTok where I post like short little quizzes that I do, see how they got. We recently did MVPs, but it's who should have won MVPs. Someone made that was really good. Go follow my Twitter where I'll just kind of speak my mind sometimes. Instagram and Facebooks are pretty similar to the Twitter. But yeah, that'll do it. That's a great first episode. Let me know what you guys think. Give me some feedback on my top 10 point guards. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, and come back for the next episode.